Star Trek Beyond. So Star Trek Beyond takes place a few years after the events of Star Trek Into Darkness. The crew is on a 5-year mission. They're currently 3 years in, and you can tell it's starting to wear down on them. James T. Kirk, the captain, is getting really tired of the mundane routine activities and is wondering if he should even stick with Starfleet anymore. Commander Spock, on the other hand, is also contemplating leaving Starfleet, but for other reasons. And other members of USS Enterprise are either dreading their time on Starfleet or enjoying it. In the midst of all of these life changes, though, they get a mission to go search and rescue a team that has been abandoned on a planet. Captain James T. Kirk rounds up his crew for what should be a simple search and rescue, but turns out to be a total disaster. And that's all I'll pretty much say without giving any spoilers to you guys. I want to say I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan. For the longest time when I was a kid, I was never very interested in anything that had to do with space. Even when I watched Toy Story, I was always on Woody's side just because Buzz Lightyear came from space. Luckily, since then, I've expanded my viewship of space films, and I've come to realize there are many great stories to be told in the outer regions of space. And in 2009, when J.J. Abrams was able to reboot the Star Trek franchise, I was very much interested to see if it would appeal to me. Luckily, I enjoyed that film and went on with the franchise, and when Star Trek Into Darkness came out, I found it as well entertaining and pleasing, but some diehard fans, they found it as an old rehash of an older film with not as much respect. So now with this third film coming out, there's a bit of pressure for it to be good, or else the Star Trek franchise will be dead for a little bit. But I can happily say this film is a blast and an absolute thrill ride that you guys definitely need to see if you're a Star Trek fan or just a fan of space films in general. Positives of the film definitely stem from the cast members. Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Carl Urban. All these cast members did an amazing job with their characters. At no point did I feel they were mailing it in or just giving a half-act performance just because they had to, because they were contractually obligated to show up in a third Star Trek film. Simon Pegg also did an amazing job with his character. He actually co-wrote this film, and it kind of shows because he got a lot more lines and a lot more quick whips in this film, which was always enjoyable for me when Simon Pegg gets a little more screen time. The villain, played by Idris Elba, Kroll, he was also very threatening and menacing. He was very heartless and ruthless. You were very much wondering who he was going to attack next on the Starfleet Enterprise. At no point did I feel he was a throwaway villain or he was tossed off to the side. He was definitely menacing in the time he showed on screen. And as far as I know, he's an original villain. He's not a rehash of an old villain from older movies, which whenever they bring something fresh on the table and it works out, it's always a positive in my book. The one cast member I definitely have to give props to that was absolutely heartbreaking to see on the big screen was Anton Yelchin. Anton Yelchin unfortunately passed away this year, and he was just an amazing actor, and I very much liked him in all his films that he's ever done. If you want any of my recommendations on any of Anton Yelchin's latest films, I recommend Green Room. That film was a very intense horror thrill ride that Anton Yelchin actually stars in. Every second you get with Chekhov, Anton Yelchin's character is just nice to see on screen. Sofia Boutella as a supporting cast member of Jayla. Side note, for the longest time in the film, I thought her name was Lassie. And when you watch the film, I think you'll understand, but for the longest time, I thought her name in the film was Lassie. Come to check on IMDb, it's actually Jayla. Her character was quite enjoyable and had a nice little backstory to it. All around, these characters are something you're really going to like in the film, you're going to get invested in, and once the action starts, it does not stop. There's always something happening within the film, something to keep you in suspense, something to keep you laughing, and if you're not laughing or in suspense, this film actually has a lot of heartstring moments to be pulled in the film. Scenes from Chris Pine as the captain, to Commander Spock contemplating his thoughts on Starfleet, to other characters as well. This film really has the three trifectas needed in an action-packed film: the action, the laughter, and the heartwarming scenes. Honestly, this film is just such a thrill ride, so much fun, that it's kind of hard to pick out any negatives in the film. But if I had to give the film any negatives, and I'm being very picky here, I would say that the villain's motivations or the way he got his abilities were unclear. His motivations were clear, but I didn't understand how he got his powers. When you come to watch the film and you understand who the villain of the film is, you get to wonder how he got this ability. Watching the film, I might have missed it, but as far as I know, I can't recall any time they explaining how he got his abilities. But anyways, guys, those are just really my opinions. I highly recommend Star Trek Beyond, even though from the crappy title to the bad marketing, this film is actually very entertaining and enjoyable, and it is enough to continue the Star Trek franchise if they do so wish to. But as always, guys, let me know if there's anything you agree with me on, anything you disagree with me on. Please let me know down below. As always, I'm Chris, and I leave you with a 3C film review. Take care.